Can you guys hear me online?
Courtney's trying to get online too, and she said it's not working.
Alright. Now we got it.
It's coming through.
Okay.
That was all.
That sounds like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they notify you by email.
okay.
I can't hear.
Right. Sound now?
Yes, that's better. Thank you.
Okay.
She she's. Yes. Okay. And if she doesn't, she can get in touch with somebody here that can help you provide.
What do they say?
Janelle, what are you seeing?
Yeah, that's all.
They're giving you the thumbs up and yes. And you can see the agenda up?
Can you see that?
Yes.
All right. Wonderful. We're gonna try to make this work. Okay. So our agenda today, we got several things on the agenda. We're gonna talk about the new InterAI assessment that is just starting to roll out. We're gonna talk about a new self-advocacy group that is starting in Summit County. Talk about a new provider portal, recertification, and then some independent provider training, and then hopefully an open discussion on kind of like what's going well, what's not. All right, so DODD is in the process of adopting a new assessment. So as you guys all know that provide residential services, we have the Ohio, the GDP, which determines funding ranges. And there's that 1 to 8.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Well, it's 0 to 8 scale, right? For the DDP, 9. All right, awesome. So that, the NRAI is going to eventually replace the DDP and the AAI. The AAI is the tool that is used to help determine funding ranges for like day services and kind of our day array services. So DODD is just starting to roll this out. They have been working with stakeholders to find a new assessment. This is a standardized assessment that is used in other states. And there are basically 2. There's one for kids and then there is one for adults. We are just starting to roll this out. So the reason why we're talking about it today is that you may be serving someone who is on the initial kind of what we would call pilot list. So there's about 30 people in Summit County that are going to have a trained assessor come out and complete the InterRay AI. So you may be contacted by Lori Nemec, who is the assessor for Summit County, to come out and do that assessment. So we wanted to, just talk about the new assessment, but then also talk about the long-term plans for rolling it out.
Do you have any your doctor's appointments or papers to show, you know, what funding is, like how do they? The assessment, or, I mean, they're not just gonna sit down and talk to somebody, don't they need your medical, they need the medical records to see?
I have not gotten the training, so I'm not exactly sure what they're gonna ask for, and like I said, this is just starting. If they need that, they'll ask you for it. It's not something that, there's nothing that you need to have prepared right now, and if there is, we'll communicate that out to providers.
Would they be able to determine like if a person's a 9 or a 3, like come into your house, like?
Well, there's a bunch of questions that they're gonna ask. And based on the answers to those questions, that will ultimately determine their need level and then ultimately determine their funding level.
So it's not based on that.
Well, I mean, I think medical is a component of it, just like the DDP. But when they redo the DDP, I mean, we're not necessarily always looking at medical, but it is part of the annual ISP process to look at medical documentation and stuff like that, you know, doctor's appointments, stuff like that. So that may be all part of the assessment. We'll get to, this is all new. And DODD is only training the people that are going to do the assessment. So I'm going to be honest, we're a little out of the entire process because of the way DODD is rolling this out. But I'm sure there's going to be questions like, you know, how the person gets support for hygiene, like all those kind of factors that determine how much staffing needs someone may have. But I haven't seen the assessment. So.
I just wondered,
Yeah.
that doesn't seem like a very fair assessment if they're not looking at the medical component. Like what medical things are done on a daily basis.
That will all be, I assume that's gonna be.
And if you're doing things that you have orders for already, just keep
Yeah.
those, where you keep them with your MAR, keep them with your specific, individual specific training, keep them where you keep them. And that way, when they come out, if they need to verify it with, you know, doctor's orders or after visit summaries or something, then you'll have it there. But at this point, don't get anything extra. So if you were serving someone that has high medical needs and that you already have all that stuff, just have it available. And if we get communication that, hey, that'd be real helpful for you to have this stuff when they come out to do the assessment, we will pass that on to providers. But at this point, there's nothing that providers need to do to prepare or gather ahead of time. We just want to make sure you guys knew this is like a legit thing, this is happening. And we will all learn together how it impacts and how it goes. So I'm sure the first few will, you know, even Lori who's doing them, that'll be a little bit bumpy as she's, you know, figuring it out. So, yep,
Just my daughter's a 9 and I'm like, do I need to like have all this stuff? I wasn't sure.
fair. Yes, and whatever you already have, keep that, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so as we talked about, and as we just mentioned, The assessment is going to be completed by a trained assessor. So kind of the way that you guys are used to maybe updating the DDP or updating the AAI, it's done by the SSA who provide coordinate services for the individual. It will now be done by a trained assessor. So it is not going to be completed by the SSA that is assigned to do service coordination for the individual that you support. It will be a trained assessor. They've been trained by the state. Right now we have one, Lori Nemec, who will, if you are on the initial 30-person pilot list, we'll call, set it up, identify a place to complete it, and we'll work with the individual and whoever they would like to have at the assessment to complete it. For right now, the results of the NRAI are not going to impact funding. So we're going to continue to use the DDP and the AI to determine rates and funding levels for individuals. However, that will eventually change. So DoD is looking to start fully implementing the NRAI AI in mid-26 with funding ranges being impacted mid-27. So we still have more than a year away before the new assessment will determine funding ranges. So we're not there yet. Right now, it is just about getting out, doing the assessment, and then moving towards having that assessment determine funding ranges, just like right now the DDP and the AAI do. There is a current work group that I do sit on that is looking at rates based on the assessment, but assessments haven't really been completed yet. So we're kind of in the middle of trying to figure out how to tie the results of the assessment to new funding ranges. And that work has not been fully completed yet. So right now, someone's going to come out, do the assessment, but it's not going to impact funding ranges at all. So I think that's important to note. That won't happen until next year.
Do they tell us where we're at on this schedule, or it doesn't?
So
Give me
eventually
what's
everyone will have one. But right now we have a pilot of 30 that we're working through, and Lori will call and schedule it if you happen to be part of that 30 initial assessments that we're going to complete. So you may not be on the list.
But I mean, when it's completed, do you get something?
You get a summary, yeah, I'm getting there.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, so it'll take about 1.5 to 2 hours. The individual can invite someone that they know best to be part of the assessment. After the assessment is completed, the individual, their guardian, will get a summary of the assessment, the completed assessment. In addition, something called a collaborative action plan, and that kind of identifies areas where someone might need more support. So everyone's going to get the completed assessment plus this cap, which will identify areas of support. There was a letter that got sent out to all individuals enrolled on waivers about this new assessment. So you guys should have already, if you serve someone or a guardian of someone who's on a waiver, should have received that letter, just kind of talking about the new process and kind of the rollout that is occurring. Any questions? I know there's a lot kind of unknown at this point because it's brand new. And we haven't seen copies of the assessment and many haven't been done yet. But it is coming. And so we wanted to give people a heads up. And specifically because, you may serve someone who's in that pilot.
Why did they change?
Because stakeholders and DoD do not believe that the DDP and the AAI accurately reflect people's needs. So there are a lot of situations where people through the DDP might be a funding range 2, and then we have to do a prior authorization because the level of support that funding range 2 provides isn't enough. And so one of the goals of this new assessment is to better accurately identify people's support needs so that their funding ranges are better support their needs without having to do all the additional paperwork, like a prior authorization. So they're trying to get the results of the assessment and the funding ranges to better align. Any other questions on that assessment? Obviously, more information to come. We're obviously learning a lot as these kind of initial pilot gets done. The state will obviously be communicating more information as that pilot kind of moves through. And then once we kind of transition over, someone will generally have one every 3 years unless there's significant changes in the individual's life. All right. Okay. All right. So we, not we, but there are a group of individuals that are connected to Summit DD who have initiated a People First self-advocacy group in Summit County. So for those of you who have been around for a while, the ARC used to facilitate a People First chapter that often met in the lower level of the old administration building. After we kind of transitioned out of service and then COVID, it just kind of went away. So there is a group of about 8 people that decided that they wanted to restart a chapter here locally. So they have been meeting with representatives from People First Ohio, which is a statewide advocacy organization who also helps set up local chapters. They are also connected to the ARC of Ohio, and they started a chapter here locally. The first meeting was last month, where representatives from People First came and talked about People First chapters, how they operate, how one could start and kind of be sustained. And then that group has made the decision to now meet every month. So they meet the second Thursday of every month here at 4:30. It is also hybrid for those that may not be able to make it here. You should have received an email with the agenda for the meeting, which is May 14th, and the Teams link. Jessica, who, I don't know if any of you know Jessica Norwood, she is an individual with lived experience, but more importantly, she is a Summit DD staff and she's our inclusion advocate. She's part of the group that helped form this local chapter. She's actually in a different meeting, so couldn't be here to talk about this People First chapter, so I'm doing it on her behalf. They basically are running the meetings, and they have identified 3 main priorities that they want the local chapter to kind of focus on, which is help educating people about self-advocacy, learning more about like community resources and community organizations. So they have invited several organizations to come to different meetings. So in May, we're going to talk about provider choice and the processes to choose a provider. In June, we're having the Akron Summit Library System come. In July, we're having opportunities for Ohioans with disabilities, and then really working with the folks that attend the meetings to identify other organizations that they would like to attend to share what they do out in the community. And then lastly, they want to be involved in the community through volunteerism and advocacy. So they are looking to invite like the Akron Canton Food Bank, United Way, because they want to find opportunities to volunteer in the community. So if you are supporting someone that you think might be interested in coming, you don't have to have started attending last month to attend any of the meetings. You can just come. And they can also attend virtually through Teams. There'll be some stuff on social media here in the next couple of days, also talking about it, but you guys should have received an email with the May agenda and the Teams link. So just encourage you to talk to the folks you support about it. And the group is really excited to grow this local group. All right, I'm turning it over to somebody.
Joe.
I wasn't sure if you were delegating or not.
My delegate.
Oh.
All right. No delegating right now. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for spending your time with us this afternoon. I'm Joe DeFranco. I'm the Assistant Director of our Community Supports and Development Department. Going to be giving an update that has been a long time in the making. Seems like we've been talking about this for a while, which is a new provider or new service referral platform or portal. So currently our portal, I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. It's actually a good portal by all standards. The issue is that the developer of that portal is no longer in business. So we basically don't have any ongoing tech support for it. So we really needed to move on to a different portal. Did a pretty exhaustive search, looked at a number of different portals, got feedback, and the choice that we made is, no pun intended, is CareChoice is the platform that we'll be going with. CareChoice is currently used in multiple counties in Ohio, has a solid reputation, and so we're pleased to be bringing it here to Summit County. So we are planning for a launch date on May 20th. So that's right around the corner. We will, as far as if you have an account and you're logging into the current portal, that will automatically, you'll get account information with login information. Be looking on May 18th for your updated account information. And we will also be sending, next week we'll be sending a reminder that this is coming. And then again, on May 18th, we'll be sending an email, one from Summit DD, to say, hey, be on the lookout, and here's the email address from which your account information will be coming. And then you will, on that same day, also receive account information, which will allow you to log in to the new CareChoice portal. Along with that information will come a training video, and that training video will actually be recorded, a live session. We're going to do one session for agency providers and one session for independent providers. And so I actually would like to use this as an opportunity to see if there's anybody that's interested to participate in that training session for independent providers. Again, it's going to be on May 13th at 2 o'clock. If you're interested, I had a piece of paper, I still do. If you're interested, on your way out, if you would just be so good as to put your name and email address on this paper, and I will send you the invitation. I think it's going to be within like 30 minutes tops with questions, because it's a very straightforward, user-friendly system. So really, the training should be pretty straightforward. As far as once the portal, and this will be part of the training, so I won't get too deep into it. Once the portal is up and running, it will, within our system, we currently know what everybody's authorized to provide, and that will be into the new CareChoice system. So when a posting goes up for which you are certified, you will automatically get a notification, email notification, that a posting has been posted for a service that you're authorized. If you don't want those emails, you can turn those off, but it's an option that you would have to let you know that there's something on the portal for which you're authorized and you might be interested to take a look at it. Again, I think you'll find the portal, the CareChoice portal, pretty straightforward and user-friendly. Any questions or any thoughts around our new portal?
I would, just to add, the May 18th, you should be getting the account information from CareChoice. Please check if you don't see it by the end of the day, please check your junk or your spam, because sometimes if you haven't received an email from a location, it will fall in there.
Thank you. Thanks, Cam. And I will say that I would give you the email now from which you expect it, but there's still some conversation about where that email is coming from. But it will definitely be in your May 18th communication. As far as where to expect that. Mary?
Folks online, can they?
Put it in the chat. Thank you. Thank you. If you're online, please put your email in the chat. And I would love to include you in that invitation. You'll get a Teams invitation from me for that May 13th at 2 o'clock training. Thank you, Mary. Any other questions or? All right. All right. Thanks, everybody. Again, sign up for that training. But what we want, I think it would be really helpful to have folks in there, also to ask questions, because I think questions that you may have will be questions that other independent providers have. So if you're available May 13th, 2:00, this is about the 7th time I've said it, the rule of 7, please sign up and we'll be happy to include you in that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What do you want us to volunteer to do? Just be?
Yeah, you'll be, and it'll be a virtual, and I'm glad you said that. It'll be a virtual training. I should have said that. So it'll be virtual. You'll log in. You will be a participant in the training. And then you'll hear the content firsthand. You'll have an opportunity to ask questions. And again, we want it to be representative of independent providers because we feel that you will ask questions that other independent providers may have. So basically participate in that training. And it'll all be online. It'll be virtual through Teams.
Okay.
So if you've used Teams before, pretty straightforward, application. So, okay.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
So there was a question in the chat. that said,
Yeah.
Why would this portal apply for family chosen IPs?
Sorry.
Why would this portal apply for family chosen IPs?
So if you're a family chosen provider and you are not looking to expand and provide services to other folks, you're probably going to want to go in there and just turn off the email notifications. If at any point in the future you want to expand service and provide to someone other than your family member, then you're going to want to reconnect to the portal and want to check that.
Thank you.
Is there another question? No.
There's lots of emails people want to attend.
Oh,
All
good.
right. Awesome. Hi, I'm Mary Purporic. I'm the Senior Manager with Provider Support. I wanted to make sure, I just wanted to touch base with you guys about recertification. Everybody has to recertify every 3 years. However, DODD is a little bit backed up right now. So if your recertification is coming up, you're going to want to make sure to log in and check your recertification date. Because sometimes they're pushing your date out and you aren't necessarily getting an email telling you they pushed it out. You will still get the notice at 90, 45, 30, 10, and 1 day that your certification is going to expire. So on my next slide, I'm going to talk to you guys about updating your demographics, because the number one reason why you don't get those emails is because your email changed. You want to always make sure you're checking your email because that is how DOD is going to communicate with you. They're going to communicate the email about your recertification, any provider compliance reviews, any questions about billing. They're going to communicate via email. So make sure you keep your email updated with DOD. Regarding recertification, it is taking them between 75 and 90 days to do a recertification. So if once you get that 90-day notice, submit it as soon as possible. That way you get it. Once you submit it, if you're close to expiring, you can request an extension. So you would want to contact DODD through the contact button through there and let them know. If you have that come up, please reach out to provider support. We can walk you through that. But yeah, they are running behind. They are changing dates. Just keep an eye on this because we've had a number of providers who have missed their notifications and or expired. So I don't want that to happen to anyone else. Oh, and then here's the documentation. If you have never recertified, you're going to need your BCI if you're not enrolled in RAPAC, which most likely are, but you can check with DODD. Your FBI if you haven't lived in Ohio for 5 years, your CPR first aid, your completion of your annual training, and your state ID or driver's license. If you're a driver, you're also going to need that driver's license, car insurance, and your driver's abstract. They may ask you for some additional things if you're certified in other services, but pretty much everyone gets asked for these things. You want to have these things together and ready to go. So make sure you're doing your annual training, make sure you're keeping up with your CPR first aid, because they're always gonna ask for those. Any questions on recertifying? All right. The 4 documents. All right, for demographic updates. So, life happens, we all move, change our name, change our address, email address, phone number. You want to make sure that you update that with DODD within 14 days. That's in rule, that you are letting DODD know. It is, I'm not gonna lie, quite the process to get that stuff updated with them. So, if at all possible, keep the same email address would be my recommendation to you. Don't change it, but if you must, you need to change it in a minimum of 4 places, through the Ohio Department of Medicaid, DOD itself, Ohio Pays, and where you got your MPI number. If you're working with somebody on a self waiver, you're also going to need to change it with GT Independence or GTI, and then you're going to need to change it with us and any other county boards you work with. So it's a lot of legwork. Those systems, sometimes you have to update it in one, and then you always have to update in one, then wait for it to go through to update in the other ones. So if this happens to you and you need to update, I would strongly recommend reach out to provider support, and we can give you the most updated guidance on how to get that updated everywhere and the steps that you need to take. And it will be a little bit of your time to get it done. Any questions? Yeah.
So is Summit County DD the only one that has this provider support? And I'm just curious because I'm looking to expand counties.
All the surrounding counties also have some version of provider support, but they differ in kind of like what their email is and what supports they offer. So most of them, if you go to their website, you're going to be able to find the person or their contact information there. Yep. Any other questions? Last thing I wanted to make sure you guys knew, especially for those of you guys who've been a provider for a while, we do offer a free training for independent providers. We offer it at least once a month, and it covers trainings or it covers topics that are really they're the required things for you to be successful to be an IEP. So I have them up there: how to access the portal, where to get ISPs, what you as a provider need to look for in ISPs, what documentation you need to have, what you need to be doing with outcomes, keeping ledgers, reporting UIs and MUIs when that unfortunately happens, required training, like we were talking about your annual training, how to get recertified, what to expect when you have a provider compliance review, and then our favorite, EVV and billing. So we go through all of that in that training. So I would highly suggest, if you haven't been through that training, to come. It is a few hours of your time, but we go over the stuff to keep you in compliance. It is done by one of our quality assurance specialists who are also reviewers. So they do know the rules, they know their stuff. So if you haven't been, you'd like to sign up, email us at provider support at summitdd.org, but just email that you'd like to sign up for the provider training, and we can get you the link, and you can find one that fits in your schedule. Any other questions on that? All right, thank you all. I'm going to pass it back over to Drew.
All right, I'm back. All right, so one of the goals of us having these meetings is not just for us to stand in front of you guys and those online and give you information. Well, we know that's important and you want state and local updates. We also want this to be a collaborative meeting and discussion. We view you guys, and I hope you guys feel it, as partners. So this work doesn't get done without you guys. You know, we play a role in it, and then you guys play a critical role in it too. So we want to have opportunities in these meetings to have a really valuable discussion around your guys' experiences in delivering services, what's going well, what's not, how can we take back information and improve our processes? How can we hear what it's like to be an independent provider in Summit County? Identifying those barriers and challenges, and then, really gather your input and hopefully make the experience of being a provider, which is difficult, better. All right, so just some basic ground rules as we kind of have this conversation. We're really focused on improving systems. Obviously, if you are having issues with a particular Summit DD staff person, I want to know that. Not really appropriate for this conversation. So if you do have concerns about an SSA or anyone else you're interacting with here, we can certainly share that with Mary or I, kind of offline, but really the conversation here is really about systems. We want your feedback. We want you to be honest. We want you to be transparent. I am not looking to say who is saying what. We truly want honest and transparent conversations when we think about feedback. And then we'll be sharing this. So, our goal as we meet on a consistent basis is to share the themes we heard. We did a survey last year. We heard that, independent providers wanted opportunities to talk about what was going well, what wasn't. And then, we'll share those themes and kind of how we can try and make providing services a little bit easier. All right, so for those online, feel free to dump something in the chat or come off mute or raise your hand. What is one thing that is going well when it comes to your interaction with Summit DD, providing services, whatever it may be?
I would say like the best thing for me, because I recently just became an independent provider, has been the independent provider course that you guys offer. And when I say that, that was like amazing information. I didn't even bill. I had already been working for maybe 3 weeks, and I'm like, I'm not billing till I go to this class. And it was just very informative, very detailed. Just the ability to have access to someone is outstanding. So that is wonderful.
Well, you have them behind you to thank for that.
Thank you, them.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't want to speak for them, but, we know that what comes out of the initial training through DoDD is not everything you need to know. And so, there's a lot of independent providers in Summit County. So we want to be able to provide that additional information just to make it easier, like you said. So I really appreciate that. Is there anything in the chat?
Lori said provider support has been invaluable.
Anything else? What is just one consistent challenge that you guys are facing as independent providers? And that can be with us, that can be with state systems, that can be anything. You first.
All right, what I find is I get an email or I go to DODD and it says, this is being changed and you have to look into it or something. And I don't know if it means as an independent agent, an independent or an agency. I'm an independent. So I call Dana here and ask her what is it? Is that involve me or no? Because that's the only thing I get nervous, like I better get this right so I don't mess up.
Yeah, I appreciate that there's rules that change, there's processes that change, and I can appreciate that, you may not necessarily always understand that how it connects to you as an independent provider. So absolutely. One of the things, obviously, when we have these independent providers to share information specific to independent providers and the changes that you may see. But I recognize there's going to be changes in between meetings that the state implements that, may impact the work that you do. So I absolutely appreciate it. There's a lot of emails from DoDD. So absolutely.
Well, I think that new portal you're talking about will certainly help.
It will, yeah. I think as individuals try and connect with providers who are willing, a portal that is supported better than our current one is going to be important. So, yeah. You had your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about, cause it doesn't apply to me, I'm an independent, but, I'm in these groups online. And everybody ever says is they can't connect the client, with the service provider. There's no people for them to serve. So I'm just wondering, is that an accurate thing? Thankfully, I don't have that problem, but is there like an oversaturation of providers right now?
Yeah, so, now we can talk with data. Yeah, so, there are about 900 independent providers in Summit County. And there are about 1,000 providers, right? Right? Yeah,
A little bit more
total
agency and independent together.
that are providing services. So there's like 1,000 or so, a little more than 1,000 providers delivering a service. There's about 2,800 people looking or receiving services. So that is 2 people for every provider. And some of those providers are huge. So you've got providers that are providing services to 200-300 people. So yeah, if you look at, and I'm just going to talk about Summit. Is there an oversaturation of providers? The answer to that, depending on the service, is absolutely yes. And so, and we can talk about the portal here. There are situations where someone will be posted on the portal and they'll get 40 responses. And that family, frankly, and this is something we're working on in the future, they have no context for who those providers are. Because many of you, you guys, you're independent providers, you don't have a website, it's just your name. And we are barred from saying, oh, this is a good one, this is not, don't choose this one. So they're just randomly looking at that list of 40 and deciding who to interview. So that's not the case in every county. So you got, and I'll use a rural county like Pickaway, they got 10 independent providers. So, we have a ton more than that. So, in rural counties, there's just less providers, and in urban counties, and specifically when we got out of services, and then the outgrowth of that, and then the outgrowth of after COVID, when they removed the IP application fee, the number of IPs in Summit County shot up dramatically. I think we had 200 new IPs come into Summit County last year. And we did not have that many new people looking for service. So the numbers just don't always add up, to be honest. And so I am not surprised that there are independent providers who have capacity, who struggle to connect with with individuals through the processes, because there's just so many more independent providers than there are people looking for service.
So isn't it, they could move over to the counties that have a greater need?
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, not everyone wants to move from
go far
Summit to
away,
Pickaway.
right?
I mean, I get that. But yeah, I mean, to be fully transparent, we talked a little bit about this at the last IP meeting when we were talking about kind of the rollout of kind of where we were getting ready for the new portal. Yeah, I mean, that's just the math of living in a more urban county, is there's just way more providers.
So are they gonna stop at some point taking applications?
That's a DODD. I can't answer that. We don't certify providers, so.
I just wondering, because that's
I hear
just
you.
all people, they
Oh, I
say
know.
it all day, every
I know.
day. They can't find anybody.
Yeah.
It's just, I was just wondering what it was, so.
Yeah, we could have some of those rural counties come and talk about how nice it is to live down in the south. Yeah, and we hear that, and I totally get it. And listen, I think everybody in provider support, myself included, have had conversations with providers who say, I'm really struggling to find people. And it's consistent that, there's just a lot of responses on the portal. So. All right, so, one of the things that I think is really important, the work that we do, how we support people occurs through a team process. And everybody who is supporting somebody and is on that team plays a critical role in helping that individual achieve their outcomes and live a good life. So it's really important that if you are serving somebody and on their team, that you feel like you are a valued member of that team. So some questions, I think we're interested in is, are you guys routinely invited to team meetings for individuals that you are authorized to provide services for? That's good. All right. So then, do you feel valued at the team table as a provider, as someone who knows the individual who's providing supports to that person? Do you feel your thoughts and opinions are acknowledged and valued? Yes, nothing in the chat. All right, I'm gonna take silences. Okay. When service authorizations are updated or changed, are you guys seeing significant delays? So say like someone adds, they get additional HPC hours, or they get more mileage, or, NMT gets added and you're the NMT provider. Are you guys experiencing a lot of delays in getting those authorizations through the process, knowing that there's 15 days and we gotta go through some of that, but are you experiencing delays that are way beyond that delay your ability to provide service? Or maybe you're providing the service and then it takes you 6 months to bill because that authorization was not done timely.
Last comment about the challenges.
Oh, okay. Lori, if you want to come off mute, or you can put it.
She typed in the chat.
Oh, go ahead.
She said, as a family chosen independent provider, it feels difficult to navigate rules and training or circumstances with the client. Has a certain waiver and as a minor, it usually throws people off and it takes time to get an answer.
Okay, all right. I can appreciate that. That's a more unique setup than the majority of situations that we support. So I appreciate that. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
think one other challenge is, and I hear it from the other family members, is there's individual providers, there's agency providers, and there's shared living support. And I feel like we're out here and sometimes we're like, does that apply to us? Does that apply to us? And I know we're licensed and we're providers, but we are just under the shared umbrella of shared living.
Independent, you're an independent provider, yeah.
We are, and we do.
You shared living,
But there are things like we don't clock in, we don't clock out, like you don't have these meetings, and sometimes I've heard from a lot of other family members, like, but does that apply to me? Do we need to do this? Do we how do we do? We feel like we're kind of out on our own little island. And I think we want to be compliant, and it would be nice if they would have something separate, or maybe just categorize it, like the agencies do this, the independents do this. But if you do shared living, you need to also do this or not do this. You know what I mean? We're kind of out there on our own, and I think we get thrown in with the independent, but we don't always, it doesn't always all apply to us.
Correct. Yeah, specifically, you're only authorized for one service or that mileage. Totally agree. We had thought, and we bounce this around. We do, for agencies, we do more service specific meetings. So we do residential, we do day service, and then we do one for folks that kind of, provide employment services and stuff like that. And we had debated would that work for independent providers? And independent providers tend to do the gamut of services. So I know so you're a unique situation, but we got, they drop in, they do NMT. And then we just, would it be worthwhile if an independent provider felt like they had to come to 3 different meetings if they provide all of those services? So we ultimately decided to just do all IP meetings. But I hear you, specifically when you're talking about kind of just shared living versus drop in, NMT, all that, where some of those changes just don't apply. So
they could just, as the rules and regulations come up, they could put somewhere at the bottom, this doesn't apply, this does apply. Just to give them a heads up.
yeah, okay. Are you guys made aware? Oh yeah, go ahead.
I have some challenges as well, and then maybe just some questions. My first question I'll start with is, if we do have a MUI or a UI as an independent provider, where are we supposed to turn that paperwork into?
So we have the MUI email, or you can call it in.
It's an email, okay.
You need to fill out the form, depending on the type of MUI. So you got 4 hours in some cases, or you got 3 p.m. by 3 p.m. the next business day to file. There is a form. You can go online. Do we still have the external submission? So they fill out the form and they email it to MUI.
Yes, and that stuff is still on our website. Yes.
That's so when we send the meeting notes out, we'll send a link to how to send it.
Okay.
After hours, you can call the after hours hotline. UIRs, you do not.
Okay.
You just need to notify the team, and then you have a responsibility of doing an investigation of like what happened, how may we prevent this in the future, stuff like that. So yes, and you'll just want to make sure that based on the MUI that occurs, that you call it in if it's after hours or if it's within that 4-hour reporting timeline. They changed the rule last July, so there are some differences, but we'll put a link to not only the reporting, the rule, and then our MUI department sends out an MUI newsletter, which also has a bunch of good information. So we can help folks understand how to sign up for that as well.
Gotcha.
Mary. Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm about to say, because I got 3 more questions.
Oh, go ahead.
So another concern issue that I'm having, I actually have 2 grandkids who, one has recently been diagnosed with autism, and the other one has a feeding tube. And we have been finding it very difficult to find any type of service for them. I don't know if you have any insight on that.
Have they connected to Summit DD yet?
Well, according to the 18-month-old's mother, she was told that he was too young.
So you can be eligible for services. So that's just what I'm talking about. So they can come through eligibility. They would ultimately be part of if he's 18 months, be part of our early intervention program.
Okay.
You can go to our website and there's an eligibility tab, and it says 0 to 2.
Okay.
You can fill out the form and somebody will contact you. I'll give you my card too before we leave, and I can get you to the right place.
Okay. Also, how do you get access to other services? Like if an individual has some type of behaviors or whatnot, like how do we get access to training for that? Between like the behavioral supports, or like if you wanted to become a job coach or do some type of employment services?
So crisis intervention, offer crisis intervention training.
Okay.
It's on our website. Pam kind of facilitates that. Like I said, I'll give you my card. If you want to talk about doing job coaching, stuff like that, we can talk about that.
Okay. And then my last one is, so it's like some part of it, I think it's fair, but some part of it, I don't think it's fair. So for an independent provider, if they no longer want to work with individual, they have to give 30 days, but a family can give immediate notice. So if this is somebody's primary income and you're telling me tomorrow not to show up, I mean, obviously you probably did something wrong, but maybe you didn't. Maybe they just aren't feeling you as an individual. But I somewhat think it's unfair that as a provider, it's like we don't get any notice, really. It's like, just don't come. And I don't know, like, if there's anything. I mean, of course, we don't want the families to feel uncomfortable, and obviously they can choose whoever they want. But I feel like sometimes that even leaves them, the client, in a position where they are not receiving services because they want somebody out of their house, that quick. Is there no gap? No way to fill that gap. You know what I'm saying?
So I hear you. That's a state issue.
Oh, okay.
And likely probably not to change, but I hear you. But that is a state issue. Person served can tell providers never to come back
Gotcha.
at any point in time. All right, Mary.
We have, one online that is actually probably for Joe or Pam, so it's about the portal. Is somebody making a suggestion of a video resume? Or as part of portal responses that might help, folks navigate through the sheer volume of responses. And then they also they were asking about ensuring the validity of those folks responding. So can you guys talk about who can respond? Are they all providers? Are they all certified providers? How does someone have access to that? Could it be somebody not a provider responding?
It cannot be a provider that's not certified to respond because they wouldn't have access to interact on the portal. As far as, so the next phase, which we really didn't get into today, because we realized that the provider's responses in the portal, through the portal, is somewhat limited to a text box. So we realize there's somewhat limited, although there's 1,000 characters, so there's quite a bit you can potentially put in there. But we are looking at developing what we will call provider profiles, or well, I'll say provider profiles. So in 2026, one of our objectives is to create a platform where providers can put basic information about themselves, as potentially also link to videos and additional information that they want families and individuals to know about themselves. As Drew mentioned earlier, you know, a family and individual, they may receive 30 or 40 responses. And so they have no context for that. So we are looking to provide a voluntary site where providers, including independent providers, can put some information about themselves that families would find helpful when they're going through that selection process. And that potentially could include links to videos and that kind of information, depending on how much information that you want to provide to families and individuals. So Pam, anything to add? Or
Yeah, that's what I think it's a great idea. I hear what
Yeah.
you're, I think alternative ways to view who a provider is a fantastic idea. So thank you for the suggestion.
And just to clarify, the people who can respond in the portal are all certified providers through DODD. So it's not going to be, you know, people can't get in there from the internet that have nothing to do with the system or kind of bog it up that aren't actually certified providers. They have to go through that
Correct.
process.
It's
Yeah.
carefully, yes.
And
Yes.
if they are no longer certified or lose their certification, we remove them
We would,
immediately.
they would not have, they will.
Yeah.
That is all correct. Yes, thank you.
How long does that process take? Just curious, because I have a friend who works up in Cleveland who just, who's the SSA, who just dealt with a situation where a gentleman had been charged with something inappropriate and had been working with someone, you know, through the period of time of him being charged and convicted. And when they found out, like, it was like, oh my gosh, type of situation.
Yeah, I think it's gonna depend on the situation, but Mary, do you wanna, because I know you,
Yeah, if it is something, if somebody is if someone is charged with something that is a disqualifying offense, we're gonna let compliance at DODD know that, and then they and their legal department decide kind of what to do with that, whether that provider suspended or if they're revoked or kind of the next steps. Obviously, sometimes if that involves an individual served, then that might rise to an MUI. So if you find out about it, even if it happened 6 months ago, you're going to want to report it as an MUI as well. And I know in Summit County, our MUI department works really closely with us, so we can give that information to compliance when they get stuff in that somebody was charged with something, whether related to providing services or not. So as soon as we get that, we act on it, and DODD does as well. As soon as it's usually within 24, 48 hours that we're getting notices after we've sent something down to them. So if you hear something, please let us know. Yeah.
Also, to add to that, if someone is charged with a disqualifying offense, they can continue to provide services in a till they're actually convicted. And so they will be suspended, which means that they can provide services just to the people that they were providing services to. But until they're actually charged, they can continue to provide those services because, listen, we have people that get charged and then ultimately those charges are dropped. So, you know, it's not an immediate, they have to stop providing services. They are suspended, so they can't add new people to the people that they provide services to. But they can continue to serve those folks, and families and persons served are notified, so they could certainly choose to end the relationship. But not all individuals and families choose that. Anything else, Janelle? Right. Anything on this before we go? Are you guys notified when ISP changes occur? So obviously, you know, there can be changes that may not impact the services you're providing, but you know, you should be notified, or certainly if an ISP gets updated, you guys should be receiving an updated copy timely. And then also, you know, if there are obviously changes occurring to the services you provide, you should be consulted and have that team conversation. Oh, it's yeah, it's all right. It's my computer, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, I figured that out about 20 minutes in. All right. Everyone's favorite topic, billing. So, challenges with billing. Obviously, well, no, not obviously, just challenges with billing.
I have a question on that. Sometimes I make a mistake on billing, but why can't they tell you before they're gonna pick it up? Because I just noticed that when I went to do billing yesterday, that I messed up the week before, so I'm not gonna get a paycheck next week. Is that possible or no? I mean, it was my fault.
Yeah,
I misspelled his last
I'm gonna let
name.
Mary answer that question.
So if this is DODD billing, that you're going into EMBS on their website and billing, they pick that up every Wednesday at noon.
Right.
So, if you find that you made a mistake before Wednesday at noon, you can absolutely correct it. If you need some help doing that, reach out to provider support and we'll do our best to help you. If it is after Wednesday at noon, likely you're gonna have to do either back out or rebill or whatever you need to do, and it's gonna delay it a bit. So, but if you're billing on the weekend and you realize that Monday or Tuesday, it is still possible for you to delete that claim out and get it fixed.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Any other concerns, challenges with billing? Nothing on the chat. Okay. Delay, yeah, so I mean, maybe there could be potentially, and we kind of talked about this in the team broad, just delays in getting the authorization timely. You know, we generally encourage providers not to deliver a service until there is an authorization in place and that you have a copy of the ISP. We recognize that there are times where that does not occur, but in those emergencies, those authorizations and those ISPs should be coming fairly quickly after so that you do not have significant delays in your ability to be paid for the work you are providing or have a copy of an ISP, so you understand the services that you are being asked to deliver. Compliance. I assume, well, you probably haven't. Many of you on the call have probably gone through a compliance review. So we would be interested in your feedback. That could have been a compliance review that was conducted by one of our quality assurance specialists. That could be also conducted by somebody from DODD. So I will just speak for Summit DD QA compliance process. It obviously follows the same process as DODD. While we recognize there are going to be times where we will cite you because you're not meeting rule, we do want it to feel like a supportive process. We want to be able to help you understand why you got cited, and then obviously you're going to submit a POC, and we want you ultimately not to make that mistake again and feel supported through that process, understanding that compliance is just part of being a service provider. We also recognize there's any situations where, people get suspended and those kind of things. So I recognize not everyone's going to always love us completing compliance reviews. I will say, we have always said we wanted it to feel like a supportive process, not punitive. But would be interested in hearing anyone's feedback, not only on some of these QAs, but just the compliance process in general. Nothing? All right. So then lastly, I think really just to wrap it up is, we try our best to offer as much support as we can to the provider community. I appreciated your comments about the training. That's somewhat of a fairly new offering. But if folks have feedback around provider support, we field about 800 calls and emails a month. So it's pretty substantial. But we are always interested in feedback as we try and, do our best to help providers deliver good services and to feel supported. So if people have feedback, totally open to it right now, or you can certainly send Mary or I an email later. I know we're going over, so if you need to leave, that's perfectly fine. We won't keep you here longer, but we really do want your feedback and the support we offer. That's why we did the survey, and that's kind of why we're having these kind of collaborative conversations as part of these meetings.
I say the support is wonderful. I lost my certification because they weren't being sent to the right email, but I don't think it was your fault. I think it was my fault. I switched the email or something. So I came down here. Dana was a big help.
Great.
I lost some pay, but she really helped me get back on track. And
We will pass that along to Dana.
all right.
Thank you. All right, so I think I'll skip over this just because we're getting to the end. But like I said, we're going to summarize the themes. We're going to continue to have these kind of conversations and then identify, some priorities as we continue to meet with you guys on a regular basis. All right, so we thank you for coming, and we will send out a recording, the PowerPoint, and then some links. And like I said, if you guys ever have any questions, you can always email provider support. If you have things outside of the provider support process, you want to email Mary or I, feel free.
We do not have one on the books yet, but we will get it. You got this one, Gretchen. Well, it comes out through Constant Contact now, right?
It still says my.
Oh, okay. So this is Gretchen, Gretchen will get it to you as soon as we get another one scheduled. Yes. I get them.
And if anybody slipped in late, if you're available on Wednesday, May 13th at 2:00, and you're interested in being in the training session, it's going to be a recorded training session for the new Care Choice platform. I'll have a sign-in sheet here. Just put your name and email, and we'll include you in that. The training will be recorded, so you'll be able to see it whether you were there, but we'd love to have folks in there for the experience. So thank you.
Right.
Yeah,
Then I'll leave it.
me too.